Hey there, music lovers, audiophiles, and fun fact friends. I am back with more of the most expensive vinyl records ever sold. Due to the popularity of my last record-setting vinyl video, and in fact, many of your comments, I figured it was time for an update. Plus, several new records have been set as vinyl is just so hot. Anyway, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Josh Levine, host of Last Week at the Auction and Josh Levine Speaks, and I want to issue this disclaimer. I might be missing out on a few genres out there, so don't jump me on the comments. I have more videos coming. I've had several of you reach out to tell me about some northern soul, jazz, classical, and others I missed out on in the last video, and I really hope to hit some of those for you today. Let me know what you think. And I know there's other auction records or record sale prices out there, but I tend to avoid the signed or autographed records as this isn't an autograph show. But feel free to share your thoughts. Also, some of your finds and your scores, I want to hear about them. You've all been so great, and I love the passion that music evokes. With today's video, I'm trying to update you on some of the new record prices I've seen out there. I also want to tell people about some of the scores you guys actually told me about that I missed and broaden my scope a bit for you serious folks. And the reason I do this and all of my shows is you might actually stumble across some of these at a local auction, a yard sale, a flea market, or a storage locker, who knows? And now you'll be all the wiser, because I often say records are the scratch-off lottery tickets of the resale world. So let's just get on with it. Here's what I like to call more of the most expensive vinyl records and LPs ever sold. How about some Zeppelin? Led Zeppelin, that is, in their first release in 1969. The debut record and original UK pressing features turquoise lettering, and that's the tell. That's what you're looking for. And one just sold for $3,918 on December 13th. The later pressings have orange letters. A fun fact about this release is it was kind of panned at the time by Rolling Stone. They called Robert Plant, and I quote, "as foppish as Rod Stewart, but nowhere near as exciting." I had to look up the word foppish definition. Regardless, it was a huge success, and Rolling Stone later ranked it as the 29th greatest album of all time. And now I got one for the jazz cats. How about Miles Davis and the record Kind of Blue, released in 1959? Most likely the coolest record on my list today. Some Kind of Blue features not only Davis, but John Coltrane, Bill Evans, Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb, and the list goes on and on. I'm missing a few. Most critics consider it to be his best, and it also happens to be the best-selling jazz album of all time. Finding an original pressing can almost guarantee you a few bucks. One just sold at auction for $3,250 in November. That's pretty nice. Now let's get a little grungy. Nirvana's Bleach from 1989 is not the household name that Nevermind is. That's by far the most popular record, but it's the famed indie label Sub Pop version that's worth the big bucks. The original pressing, of which there were 1,000 or so, has sold consistently for over $1,500 online. And one just sold on eBay for $2,000 in October. So keep your eyes peeled, because they're around. But now for you dancing queens, there's a rare promo copy of this next one. It's ABBA's Hovavatine from 1981. I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation. Anyway, the single was only distributed within the record company. Only 200 copies were ever pressed, and they're on red vinyl. Being one of the most commercially successful musical groups of all time, it just means there's a lot of fans and a lot of demand for their rarities and their collectibles. One just brought $4,347.83 in August. Next is the Quarrymen, and a rare single that was released in 1981. Super fans of the Beatles know the original name, the Quarrymen, and yes, that's pre-Ringo. And they recorded the songs That'll Be the Day, a Buddy Holly cover, and In Spite of All Danger, an original, in 1958. But it's the rare single that was reprinted by Paul McCartney himself in 1981 that's worth the big money. It's said that McCartney only had 50 copies produced for his friends and family. So if you find one of these, it could be worth more than $5,000. And in fact, one brought $6,097.56 in September of 2019. Okay, horror movie freaks, you're gonna know this one, or at least you've heard the band's music before. Next on my list is Cherry 5 by Cherry 5, released in 1975. That's got a ring to it. Just after releasing this record, the band changed its name to Goblin. These guys did soundtracks for Suspiria, Dawn of the Dead, and Deep Red, all horror classics. And just know that the Cherry 5 release is considered extremely rare, so be on the lookout because one just sold for $4,268.29. Next, how about a rare version of the Beatles classic? Abbey Road, released in 1969, can be found on a rare UK export version that features a yellow and black Parlophone Records label. The catalog number is PPCS7088. That's the one to be on the lookout for. It's their 11th studio album, as many of you know, but like the Zeppelin debut, it also had mixed reviews. And now it's 14th on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest records of all time. And I just saw one bring $6,421 US. Wow. Now we're gonna get a little trippy. This one's out there. The 13th Floor Elevators' Reverberation Doubt was released in 1966, and it's a great find should you stumble across one when you're picking. This early recording of 4 13th Floor Elevator songs could score you well over $1,000. The record features the songs Reverberation Doubt, You're Gonna Miss Me, Fire Engine, and Tried to Hide. The 13th Floor Elevators are credited with inventing the psychedelic rock genre. Sadly, their legendary guitarist, Roky Erickson, suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, which greatly influenced his life and career. It's most likely why the band's run was really short-lived. There's only 4 recorded studio albums out there, but a copy of this one just sold for $1,219.51 in October, just to give you an idea. Did you think I would miss out on classical music? Not this time. I'm trying to broaden my horizons. Next is Century Symphony Orchestra Waltzes by Johann Strauss Jr. It was released in 1956, and this one's worth a lot of money because of an interesting story. There was a time when record companies would seek out relatively unknown artists to provide cover art for their classical and jazz releases, and this album was by a little known, at the time, Andy Warhol. But for whatever reason, there were only 7 known copies ever made. I don't know why, but there's one on display at the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh. However, another one turned up and sold for $5,500 in 2012. It's unlikely you have one of the other 5 that supposedly exist, but you never know. With what records are bringing today at auction, you might crush that last record should you put yours up for sale. But hey, let's keep moving all over the place with genres. How about the Sex Pistols and their God Save the Queen, released in 1977? Originally, 25,000 copies of the single were pressed, but it's estimated that only 10 survived after A&M ordered all of them destroyed just 6 days after signing the band. Apparently, A&M decided to cut bait with the boys after the bandmates repeatedly behaved so badly, or like a bunch of punks. Johnny Rotten reportedly had repeatedly threatened and terrorized the company's executives. Sid Vicious had demolished the label's headquarters bathrooms, and in less than 1 week after signing the band, A&M just dropped them. They had no tolerance for it. A few people were smart enough to help themselves to a few copies prior to their destruction. Copies with the A&M label have sold for well over $8,000. Wow, I want to find one of those. The next one's fun. It's related to Olivia Newton-John and ELO's 1980 Xanadu. I don't know if you know this, but the Xanadu movie has been called one of the worst movies made of all time. But the rare promotional picture disc of the theme song is one of the most sought after records of all time. Legend has it that Olivia Newton-John couldn't stand the way she looked on the disc and had the company stop pressing it. It's believed that 20 to 30 survived. One of these just turned up in 2017 and brought $4,000. So what's next? More for the jazz fans. It's Hank Mobley Blue Note 1568 that was released in 1957. It's believed there were about 1,000 copies of this record printed, and each are quite valuable. One sold in 2015 for $11,162. But I hear there's a rare super variant out there that might even be more valuable. The story is that the label Blue Note ran out of labels when they were printing the record, and the last few might have an error in the printing of the label's physical address on the label. To the hardcore collectors out there, the theory is that this odd version should be worth even more when it turns up. Either way, $10,000 plus for a record is a score. But let's keep moving. An original pressing of this rare 78 could make your day, but you might have to make a deal with the devil to find one. Robert Johnson's Me and the Devil Blues, released in 1938, is the stuff of many an urban legend. It's said that Johnson met the devil at the crossroads in Mississippi, where he traded his soul for the ability to master the guitar. Whether fact or fiction, the man had a profound influence on the genre and guitarists everywhere. Heritage Auctions recently sold a copy for $8,125. But here we are at the last one on today's installment. It's Prince and his 1987 Black Album. After recording and pressing 500,000 copies of the Black Album, Prince decided to stop the release and in fact paid the label to recall all of the records. The reason? The singer believed that the record was evil. The only problem was a few promotional copies had already made it in the circulation, for the radio stations, etc. The record was also widely bootlegged and got considerable airplay despite Prince's protest. Later, he changed his mind about the recording, but only released it in a CD version in 1994. An original factory-sealed American version sold in 2018 for $42,300, and an unsealed Canadian version sold for $27,500. So no matter which one you find, you might be able to afford a little red Corvette. Yeah, that was pretty cheesy. Well, that's it for today, and as you probably know, there are so many more record-selling records out there, but you'll have to wait. I really hope you enjoy these shows, and if you're finding them helpful and mildly entertaining, please like, subscribe, and place your comments below. And feel free to share your strange facts and other subjects you'd like me to tackle. I am Josh, and you are watching Josh Levine Speaks. Until we stream again, my friends.